Jeff, what a joy to get to be here with you today. Why are you and I meeting today?
Well, Ed, I'd say it's a little ironic that we would have this meeting because just over a month ago, you and I were together, and the subject was Ed Perry on the occasion of his death, talking about your near brush with death and cancer. And who would know that just a few weeks later, I would have a similar yet different brush with death, which now puts you in the position of the interviewer and me in the position of the interviewee. So I would say that fate or chance or something else has brought us together again.
I'm grateful for that, but not grateful for the circumstances.
Amen.
Tell me how you and I know each other.
Well, I've had the great fortune to teach alongside you at the Acton School of Business. I remember the first day you walked in and you said, I'm a beginner. I won't be very good at this, but I'll work hard. And I knew right then that you would be good at it. And so we had the good fortune to spend a long time, over a decade, learning from each other, practicing our Socratic trade at the Acton School of Business.
Jeff, I notice a neck brace.
Yeah.
And I notice you're sitting in a wheelchair. What's happened?
Well, I had a little paragliding mishap. And if they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, I actually have a video that I know you've seen, but our viewers haven't. So I think I would, rather than describe what happened, I'll describe it with pictures, and that'll explain why I'm sitting here. So it's a beautiful day in Aspen, Colorado. I'm at 12,000 feet. It's a normal launch of a paraglider. I've done this 400 times before. And then there's an equipment failure. My emergency chute comes out, and 3 seconds later, I've fallen 100 feet and directly impacted the ground. As you probably know, the mortality rate for a 100-foot fall is 100%. I mean, no one survives a fall that high, and I did.
Jeff, tell me what was going through your head when you landed.
Well, I tell you, right before I landed, the emergency chute comes out. Again, it's an equipment failure. We don't know why. Something that's never happened before. I've never even heard of happening. I felt a tug. I looked back and I said, "Oh, this is going to hurt." And sure enough, that emergency chute acted like a drag chute, downplaned my glider. I not only fell straight down, but I pendulumed into the side of the hill.
Oh my.
And so sure enough, 3 seconds later, I said, I know this is going to hurt. 3, 2, 1, impact. And it hurt.
What was going through your head laying there?
Well, it's one of many blessings from this happening. And that sounds strange to say, but I think this whole tale is going to be one of blessings and of gratitude. I laid there. I knew I'd shattered my back.
Oh.
I knew I'd landed on my tailbone, and I knew I felt it crack. I thought I probably had internal injuries, and I knew it would be several hours before I could be off the mountain. So if I had internal injuries with a fall like that, I almost certainly would. I knew I wouldn't survive. And so the first thing that went through my mind, I never would have thought this, was, it's been such a terrific life. Gosh, I've had a great life. Mm-hmm. And then immediately after that, and again, I wouldn't have thought of this either, I thought, and I'm going to see Jesus and I'm going to see God next. And I just can't imagine what that's going to be like. And then the most incredible blanket of peacefulness, that's the only way I can describe it, just came over me. I mean, I didn't feel pain. I just felt complete calm. And, I think of that verse in the beginning of the Gospels where the dove lands on Jesus' shoulder and the voice says, "This is my son with whom I'm well pleased." It was that kind of feeling of just a dove or something coming down. And, one of the many blessings of this is, I think I now know what happens when you face death. At least I know what happened when I faced death this time. And it was just a feeling of peace. That went on about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. I'm just laying there, I'm feeling peaceful. And then it occurs to me that I'm not dead. I mean, I can't feel any internal injuries, but I do know I'm paralyzed from the waist down. And this sounds so strange, but the thing that went through my head was, this is really going to suck for Laura. And I don't mean to lose that language, but that's exactly the word I thought. But I'm going to get a really nice chair. And so why in the world I would think about having a better chair, or why it would, but I just thought it's going to be terrible for her, but I'm going to be alive. And then I looked down and I could wiggle all 10 toes. And so I knew then I had a chance, that my spinal cord wasn't completely severed, and I had a chance. And then right after that, an ant crawled across my leg. I knew at this point I couldn't move, right, because my back's shattered. And I said out loud, "Oh God, please no ants." I just thought, they aren't stinging ants like they are in Texas and Colorado, but they will swarm you. And this thought of being swarmed by ants and not being able to move, and that ant just crawled across one leg and then across the other leg and then just kept going. And so I laid there a while longer. It took a while to realize I was really badly hurt and for the group up higher on the hill to get down to me. In fact, it took so long that our sons Charlie and Sam had time to hear the radio call that I'd been hurt, get in a truck and drive up to the launch site. So after about an hour, I was loaded onto a life board, like a backboard with inflatable, and 10 of my friends, including Charlie and Sam, carried me down the hill. It took them 1 hour. It's as steep a incline as you can imagine, and later we'll find out that one false step and my spinal cord would have been severed because a shard of my backbone had sliced the dura wide open, and when the surgeons would open me up later, they would find all the nerves in the spinal canal kind of coming up at them. The surgeon said it was like alien. It just kind of came out. So one false step, and then about 2/3 of the way down that carry, so 40 minutes into it, we hear a call from above, and someone has dislodged a big rock at the top, about the size of your head. And it's coming right for my head, and I'm laying backwards looking up the hill. And the 10 people all square off to take the rock themselves. Like so it won't hit me, but it's still likely to hit me. And about 15 or 20 feet above us, the rock takes another funny skip and a bounce and goes off to the side and misses us. They continue to carry down. It's about an hour in a pickup truck from there to the ambulance. I then get some pain medicine. I'm taken to the Aspen hospital. They immediately life flight me to Denver. 7 hours of surgery, 8 days in the ICU, and then it's on to intensive therapy after that. So quite a ride from 3-2-1 launch to that chute opening to getting to Denver.
That's horrifying to think of going through all of that.
Yeah. It was funny at the time, it was just one step at a time, right? It really hurt. I mean, carrying me down, each bump hurt. So it hurt badly, but all I could think of is I just got to keep my stomach muscles clenched and let that back not get dislodged. And it was really just one step at a time.
So you knew that there was damage to your spine?
Yes, I totally had no feeling in my legs at all.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And so you tightened in your stomach to try to prevent further damage to your spine.
It's all I could think of, that maybe that would stabilize it. And
Yeah.
of course they were carrying me very carefully and carefully strapping me on the helicopter. And but yeah, all I could think of is I'm just going to try to keep that from being moved.
And here you are, you're being transported down this steep cliff.
Yeah.
It takes over an hour to get down. And a great big rock is dislodged, headed straight for your head. So here, normally, anybody would have died by falling 100+ feet. And now you've got a huge rock headed for your head that could have killed you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Well, you were life flighted out.
Yeah.
And you went to Denver and went through surgery there.
Yeah.
What was that surgery like?
Well, I remember in Denver, and this is another one of those occurrences, this I hear that this surgeon, Dr. McGowan, is coming off vacation to take care of me. And he's like the top neurosurgeon in the West. He's heard about how bad this case is. He's coming back, driving back to Denver from vacation. And so he walks in, and he's this beautiful, I later come to know him a lot better, but he looks like the kind of guy that would be on the cover of a magazine. And, you know, in a cardigan sweater with a nice thing of wine. I mean, he just looks like this kind of beautiful, cultured person. I later find out he is. And he's African-American. And I was like, oh, Dr. McGowan, I'm so glad you're here. I said, I just thank you for coming back from vacation. I just don't know how to thank you, but it's nice to have the A-team on the field. And he looked at me and he said, Mr. T reporting for duty. And I said, oh, I didn't mean, he just started laughing. He goes, I know, I just couldn't resist. So, you know, in that moment of everything being serious and he's all scrubbed up and ready to go and they're about to put me under, he puts me at ease. And, you know I've got the best surgeon in the West on the case.
So you talked about that he opens you up.
Yeah.
And your spinal nerve pops out.
Yeah.
And all the little nerve endings are now sticking out of your spine.
Yeah.
How in the world did they go through the surgery to piece all that back together?
Well, he told me later that he not only had never seen anything like that in surgery, he'd never read about anything like that in surgery. And he was just so stunned when it happened that they all stepped back. And he said it was like alien. It was like something coming out at him when he opened it up. And in fact, it was interesting. I think they missed the fact until much later that I had a C7 fracture. That's why I had this collar on. And they didn't even address that. They were being so careful about the explosive disc or explosive vertebrae that had broken in the lower part of the back. But he got me all patched up. I woke up in ICU. It was pretty amazing to be in ICU for 8 days because I realized it wasn't that hurt. They were just making sure I didn't lose spinal fluid. And every day or so, there would be a body wrapped in saran wrap outside. You would hear calling code blues all the time of people dying. There'd be policemen outside with gang members that they were protecting. And so, boy, just watching the parade of life going by. And being healthy enough that I could basically sit in and talk with the nurses. And I think that was the second thing I was incredibly grateful for. I learned a lot about healthcare and a lot about how hard nurses and doctors work. And whether it was Alex or Zach, the people taking care of us, just extraordinary dedication. You hear about people not showing up for work. Well, that group showed up every day. It's just a different breed of cat. Particularly in the ICU and the rehabilitation.
Even giving up their vacations with their families to be there for you.
Yeah, there's always an emergency, right? And they're always answering that call over and over again. And just the caring, and again, there's no glory in changing bedpans, and they're doing really gritty, hard work. And this sounds funny to say on tape, but you would have a bowel movement, it's messy, and you're in a hospital, and it's just, it's terrible. And they would all cheer, because that's a sign that, you're coming back to life. And it would be like, oh, I'm so embarrassed, you have to clean this up. It's like, no, this is the best news we've had all day. And you think they're saying that over and over and over again every day as they clean up somebody's messes with a smile. And genuinely cheering because they know you're getting better.
Incredible. Yeah. 8 days in ICU.
Yeah.
And then you went to a rehab center in Houston.
Yeah, then it was time to go to a place called TIER Houston Memorial.
Okay.
It had been, again, I was pretty healthy to be in ICU because they were just monitoring my spinal cord. One of the things that happened while I was there is we'd been somewhat estranged from our daughter Tate. Pandemic, her working too hard, probably some things from her childhood thinking about. And not only did Laura show up having driven, through the mountains as fast as she could to get there for the surgery, but our daughter Tate, who lived in Denver, showed up and, was by my side. And so, to have Laura there, to have Tate back, in the fold, And even now, hearing from her every other day, I really sat there and thought, this is worth it for that. I mean, it's worth it to reconnect with her. But soon, 8 days, that was over. Time to fly to kind of intensive rehab in Houston. My gosh, getting me on an airplane, we got on the airplane and we got to the end of the runway at Centennial. And I was flying with pilots I knew. I was obviously in the back and could barely sit up. And there was a stuck mic. And so we had to sit on the ground for an hour and a half.
Oh, God.
And I thought, I've been checked out of one hospital. I'm not checked into the second one. What happens if this airplane won't take off? What the heck am I going to do? Because I'm not healthy enough to be out of a hospital, but I'm out.
Right.
But thank goodness they got the problem solved, got to Houston, got me into an ambulance there and into this wonderful place called TIR, where they do rehab of people with spinal cord injuries.
What was it like being there at the rehab center?
Humbling. And, it was pretty clear. I mean, I was sick when I got there. I mean, in fact, I hadn't even set up in 8 days. So even sitting up again and keeping your blood pressure up was a challenge. I couldn't even get in a wheelchair. I had to be put in a wheelchair. And I know that a couple of days in, they found when they were doing another x-ray, this broken cervical. So I had to go spend 11 hours on a gurney in the ER at Houston Herman Hospital. I would not recommend that. There were like 50 people in line with gunshot wounds and, all sorts of problems. So I'm sitting there. Those were some kind of dark moments. And then I would see somebody who was a complete paraplegic, working to feed themselves. Or you would see somebody for the first time take a step. And I knew I was getting better every day. And so, that went away pretty quick. There's a great antidote for victimhood, and that's gratitude. And the people I had there taking care of me, the therapist, Sarah and Elizabeth, and the nurses. I had this one nurse I just loved named Marilyn. And she was a great big woman. Like she looked like like you would imagine you want your mom to be. And she would just hug me and put her cheek next to mine and kiss me. I'm sure that violates all sorts of hospital protocols. And she would just say, "Sugar, I love you and God loves you and you're going to get better." And I'm just thinking, again, this woman's doing that every day to people. And it makes you want to get better. And so I got better really quickly. In fact, I got kicked out they wanted to kick me out after a week. And I was supposed to be there 36 days. Yeah, and so they can't. I said, well, can I have a couple of more days? My family's not even back from Colorado yet. So I got to stay there 10 days, and I was dismissed.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I remember the doctor had told you 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And you're out in 10 days.
Yeah. No, it was they said when you start getting better, it tends to accelerate and you get better faster. So I don't have everything, I've still got some things to work on, but it's been a remarkably quick recovery.
That's incredible, Jeff. Just incredible. So here we are sitting in your home.
Yeah.
How is it being home?
It's fabulous to be home. I'm so annoying to Laura because everything is like, by myself. I want to do it by myself. And she's trying to serve and love on me, and I'm just trying to be independent. And I think she's finally, given up. But it's been a blessing to be home. And, it was great to be at TIR. It was great to be at St. Anthony's in Denver. But there's no place like home.
Mm-hmm. Is this hard for Laura?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it was hard to be there for 3 hours. She didn't know what had happened. She just knew I was down.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was hard. I'm sure the drive to Denver was hard because it looked like, I wasn't doing very well. I can't imagine how hard that would be. If the roles been reversed, I don't think I could have handled it. But she's tough. I mean, she has deep faith. She's tough. So she hasn't shown any signs it's been hard, except being annoyed with me from time to time that I won't let her do anything to help me. Again, because I really want to do it myself to make sure I can do it myself. Mm-hmm. And she's been gracious about letting me do that.
So this isn't about, you're doing it yourself isn't about being stubborn or obstinate. It's about continuing to develop the skills
so
you can get back to a normal life.
Well, probably some of it's about being stubborn and obstinate. So yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm sure there's some of that in there, but no, but it is that, the more I can do, the more I can do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff, I've known you for a lot of years. You love having your schedule full.
Yeah.
You've always had your schedule just packed intensely. How is it for you being home and not being able to do everything you had planned to do?
Well, one of the things, I was actually at a meeting today working on a new Next Great Adventure product at the Acton School of Business. And one of the things I was saying to the team there is, one of the things being in a position where you can only work a couple hours a day, which is where I've been the last couple of weeks, is you realize you set your priorities and you can only work on a few things. And I think I may have been more productive than before because the time frame's so limited. So I think it just reminds me again of how much time we waste, or at least I waste, by not really being focused. So this is, it's a blessing that it's caused me to focus. I'm really fortunate. Just to show off, I've kind of put away this chair now. I put away my walker. I put away my crutches.
Oh, my heavens.
So I can walk a mile, I can brush my teeth, I can take a shower. So, for all of my friends out there that have sent love and prayers and gifts and wonderful emails, it's all had an impact, and it's just been a fabulous recovery in so many ways. But I'm really deeply grateful, just like I know you were, for all the emails you got and all the people who sent you letters and well wishes when you were sick. Now I got to feel the kind of healing grace of that.
This is just amazing. You can stand up.
Yeah, I can stand up, I can walk, I can, still got a few things to work on. The numbness still has to go away, but it's, I'm way ahead of schedule and should make a full recovery.
So let's ratchet way back.
Yeah.
Let's look big picture. The accident happened 4 weeks ago.
Yes.
An accident, that's a fall that people just less than 1 in 100 million live in the fall.
Yeah.
Then you have an accident where a rock is hit that should have killed you, except for a fluke accident to the rock bouncing off course.
Yeah.
They piece together your spine, put your spinal nerve back in, send you off to rehab, and here you are 4 weeks later, alive.
Yeah.
Recovering your health, already walking, already able to sit here with me in 4 weeks. You do realize that's a miracle.
Well, whatever it is, I'm grateful. That's all I can say is this whole voyage is just, having this happen has been just one thing to be grateful for after another. And that sounds strange when you think of an accident, but a half inch the wrong way, I'm dead. A quarter inch the wrong way, I'm paralyzed. Charlie or Sam or one of my friends take one misstep and aren't careful. The same thing happens. It's just one fortunate, lucky thing after another. And, and I'm getting better. So
you mentioned the bone shard that had cut the dura.
Yeah.
If it had been just stuck in just a quarter of an inch deeper,
would have cut the cord.
Would have cut your cord.
Yeah.
And you'd had no control over the lower half of your body.
Right.
Oh my God, Jeff.
Well, had they slipped and my C7 vertebrae is shattered. It's healing underneath here, but it's broken. So, had they dropped me and my head twists the wrong way, that's your arms, your breathing, that's everything. So I'll end with this. Of all the blessings of getting Tate back in the fold, of meeting so many wonderful people about Laura's love, but I now know what it's going to feel like to face death. And Ian Fleming, who wrote the James Bond book, said, you only live twice, when you're born and when you look death in the face. And I absolutely look death in the face, and it's not scary at all. And I never could have told you that. I never would have thought that. Maybe it'll be different next time. But this time, it was just a sense of incredible peace. And, I won't take that feeling. I'll never forget that feeling. And I think when I face it again, which I surely will, I hope it's the same feeling, because it was a wonderful feeling of just peace and comfort.
We all have a tendency to take for granted that our lives are infinite.
Yeah.
And you faced mortality, and now each hour becomes precious.
Yeah.
Why do you think this happened? Do you think this was just a fluke accident? Was a manufacturing failure? Was it a mistake by you or by your teacher? Or was this destiny that you were supposed to experience this?
The pilot in control is always in charge.
Okay.
So it's on me that I must not have checked something closely enough. It's 100% on me. I still can't figure out how even the failure to check would have resulted in the series of events. But that's why we're going to hang that chute in a tree, and we're going to figure out what went wrong. So I just really don't know. I don't know why things happen. I don't know why that happened and what set off the series of events. We're going to try to figure it out. We'll probably never know. I will say that most of my paragliding friends now check their emergency chute a little more carefully at launch.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, that's a good thing.
Good for everybody else.
Yeah.
This brings up a key question. Have you learned any lessons by going through all of this?
Just the one about facing death. The one about, how wonderful it is to have a daughter back in the fold.
Yeah.
Seeing two strong sons who are big and, can carry you down the hill when, I used to carry them around. Knowing Laura was going to be at my side, and watching all the healthcare professionals. So I learned all that. And again, it's just a message of gratitude.
Message of gratitude.
Yeah.
You think about what miraculous events have transpired for you to be able to sit here with us today. What do you think has given you the ability to survive all of this?
Well, grace if you believe one way, and blind-ass luck if you believe the other. So you can take your pick depending on what you believe about life, but it's one of the two, because it's a series of, my whole life has been a series of lucky events strung together, and either that luck is holding or there's some grace there somewhere. I'd like to believe grace, but people are free to believe whichever they want, but it's one or the other.
Yeah, if you think about luck,
yeah,
that's a matter of statistics.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
If you look at the statistics of what you've gone through and the probability of each of the episodes along the way, you surviving that step, it's real hard for me to believe this is luck. That's real hard for me, Jeff, because the statistics are so against you.
Well, you weren't there when I met Laura and she agreed to marry me, and those are probably worse odds too. So, like I say, all along the way, I've been really lucky. So, yeah.
Great point. That's a great point. A lot of times when people go through a real existential crisis,
yeah,
it usually changes their identity.
Yeah.
Have you changed somehow?
I don't think so. I think I've just become more the way I was. I have noticed how much I care about agency. And by that I mean just, that I can brush my teeth, that I can do something.
Uh-huh.
And I've got to imagine that almost everyone in this situation, you just want to capture, part of your control over something, while at the same time, there's lots you don't have control over, but you want control over whatever you can. And so I just noticed how important that is. I don't think I'll forget that. People always have a choice, and the smallest control, the smallest action that you can kind of have some say-so over, at least for me, was really important.
What I hear is a recurring theme for your health, for your time, for a family, and how they have matured and how close they are to you, for all the different things that you've got in your life, that there's a deeper sense of gratitude. Yeah. For all of those different aspects of your life.
And empathy for people who, are hurt. I mean, I won't look at someone in a wheelchair the same. The fact that I can get up and walk out of this, there are a lot of people that worked harder than I did and tried harder and have more courage, and they can't get up. So I think I'm not very good with empathy, but I won't forget that either.
Do you have any advice for the rest of us when we face life-threatening crises?
No, just testimony, and I've offered it. No advice.
Okay. This is going to be real hard for me, Jeff. When I heard that you'd nearly died, when I saw the video that you just showed, I was so upset that I became physically ill. Like so many people who are going to see this video, I really love you. And just like so many who see this video, we want to be supportive of you. We want to find ways to be of support to you as you move forward in your life. And we know that you're going to develop normalcy and tremendous independence and continue to be the man that you've been. But at the same time, as you go through order, disorder, reorder, in that disorder phase, we want to be there for you. How can we be supportive of you in this?
You know, you ask about advice, and I will offer a bit of testimony, and this is probably a good place to wrap it up because this brings us back around to when you and I were talking about doing the very first video.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first came to see you after your cancer diagnosis, you said the thing that had hurt you was some people stopped calling you.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew they were scared of death, and they were scared they didn't know what to say, right? And there were other people that showed up, right? Mm-hmm. And in this whole experience, I had so many people who took time to come visit or to call. And then there were also some, I had one friend in Fort Worth who, one former student, when he heard I was hurt, he just got in his car and started driving towards Denver. He didn't know where I was. He didn't know what shape I was in. He could have flown. He could have gone an airline ticket, but he couldn't do that immediately. So, 18 hours later, he calls from the lobby, he didn't even lobby the hospital, didn't know where I am yet, and just said, "Laura, this is Steve. I'm here. I just want to sit close. I'll just stay in the lobby. I want to be close."
Wow.
Had another friend leave his family and do that from Salt Lake City. Another friend from Houston hopped in his car and drove 20 hours. And so, people that show up and that care and come to see you or send well wishes or prayers, you really find out who your friends are. And to your point earlier, it's just showing up in some way with a phone call or a message or in person. You really find it. And I'll be eternally grateful for all the people that showed up.
Jeff, what an amazing story. I'm so grateful that you've survived this. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm so grateful that you're recovering so quickly. I'm so grateful that in your lifetime you've built a community that is so supportive of you, who would do just about anything to be of support to you. And there are countless people who are praying for you every day and sending you their well wishes. Is there anything else that you have as kind of a last message?
Well, it's just a message personally for you. Let's end this series here.
Yeah.
Is that a deal?
Done and done.
I love you, Ed. Thanks for taking the time to do this. And
I love you,
thank you again
Jeff.
to everybody who's been so wonderful. And I'm healing up, and I can't wait to actually get rid of this collar and get back in an airplane and go see people.
Thank you so much,
Love you,
Jeff.
Ed. Thank
Thank
you.
you for being you.
Thank you.